Please be seated. The court is now in session. Today, the chamber continues to hear the remaining testimony of civil party through CCP 223 for the morning sessions. And in the afternoon, the chamber will continue to hear the testimony of witness Thuy Siton from France via a video link. And due to the unavailability of some interpreters since they're stuck in the traffic, so please leave sufficient pause between question and answer sessions so that interpreters can properly interpret. Ms. Jia Siu-Huang, please report the attendance of the parties and other individuals to today's proceedings. Gratitude, Mr. President, for today's proceedings. All parties to this case are present. Mr. Nguyen Chia is present in the holding cell downstairs. He has waived his right to be present in the courtroom. The waiver has been delivered to the greffier. The civil party who is to conclude his testimony today, that is through TCCP 223, is present in the courtroom. And the witness who is to continue her testimony via video link from France, via video link, that is Thuy Siton, is available for the afternoon sessions. We also have a reserve witness today, that is through TCW 871, who confirms that through the best knowledge, the witness has no relationship by blood or by law to any other two accused, Nguyen Chia and Khieu Samphan, or to any of the civil parties admitted in this case. The witness took an oath before the Iron Club statue. Thank you. President, thank you, Ms. Jia Siu-Huang. The chamber now decides on the request by Nguyen Chia. The chamber has received a waiver from Nguyen Chia dated 22nd November 2016, which states that due to his health, that is headache, back pain, he cannot sit or concentrate for long, and in order to effectively participate in future hearings, he requests to waive his rights to be present at the 22nd November 2016 hearing. Having seen the medical report of Nguyen Chia by the duty doctor for the accused at the ECCC dated 22nd November 2016, which notes that today Nguyen Chia has a lower back pain and feels dizzy when he sits for long, and recommends that the chamber shall grant him his request so that he can follow the proceedings remotely from the holding cell downstairs. Based on the above information and pursuant to Rule 81.5 of the ECCC internal rules, the chamber grants Nguyen Chia his request to follow today's proceedings remotely from the holding cell downstairs via an audio-visual means. The chamber instructs the AV unit personnel to link the proceedings to the room downstairs so that Nguyen Chia can follow. That applies for the whole day. I now hand the floor to the defense teams. First, to the defense team for Nguyen Chia to put questions to the civil party.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, Your Honours. Good morning, Council. Good morning, Mr. Civil Party. I'm Nguyen Chia's international lawyer, and I would like to ask you some questions this morning. Let me start by asking you some questions about something you said yesterday. You said that when you were young, sometime in the early 60s, you and your mother were living in Phnom Penh with Nguyen Chia. Did I understand it correctly? And if yes, can you tell us where it was that you and your mother lived together with Nguyen Chia?
បាទ
I did not say I lived with a Noon Chia, but I stated that I worked with Noon Chia.
ហើយធ្វើការនោះ
And I worked with him in Phnom Penh.
Well, maybe something went wrong in translation yesterday. My notes, there's no draft transcript yet, Mr. President, says that you were living with Nguyen Chia in Phnom Penh between 1958, 59, and 1960. I believe you were born in 1957, so you must have been very young. So just to be sure, you didn't live with Nguyen Chia and your mother when you were very young, let's say 3 or 4 or 5 years old.
That is correct.
Do you know where it was that you were living with Nguyen Chia in the early 60s, you and your mother? Where was it?
Sorry, just to avoid, I think he answered that he did not live with Nguyen Chia in the affirmative. Can we clarify that? Did you ever live with Nguyen Chia?
I did not live with him.
That's fine. Did your mother ever live in the same house as Nguyen Chia in the early 60s in Phnom Penh?
តាម
From what my mother told me, I learned that in the 50s, she lived and worked with him. She also said that Nguyen Chia used to play with me when I was a young child.
I understand. What was your mother's name? Or alternatively, how did Nguyen Chia, how did Nguyen Chia know your mother's, with what name did Nguyen Chia know your mother?
I do not know by what names Nguyen Chia came to know my mother. However, my mother told me that she used to live with Bong Nguyen Chia during the 50s.
Sorry for interrupting. You didn't answer the first part of the question. What's your mother's name?
My mother's name is Chuch Samut. President, Council, if next time you want to verify the names, please show that name through the civil party so that we can maintain the confidentiality, because we only refer to the identity by pseudonym.
Yes, I do apologize. I had forgotten that. One moment, please, Mr. President. I'm trying to find the mother's name. With your leave, Mr. President, could I show again the name of the civil party's mother? I will be referring to E3/9477, English ERN, French ERN 01112105.
Yes, you may.
Mr. Civil Party, please don't mention your mother's name, but the highlighted part of that document, is that indeed your mother's name? And is she still alive today?
Yes, the highlight name is correct. However, my mother passed away in the last 4 or 5 months.
Thank you, Mr. Civil Party. What is it, if any, that you recall of Tusamut in the 60s? I know you were very young at the time, but was anything ever told to you about who Ta Tusamut was, what had happened to him in 1962? Is there anything that you knew before 1975?
Through my recollection, Tusamut was the chairman of the Communist Party of Cambodia before Pol Pot took power and replaced him in 1960.
Correct. But as you know, he was murdered in 1962, I believe in March or April of 1962. Is there anything that you heard about how he was killed and who was responsible for this? Anything that you heard before 1975?
In a workshop session, Nunji told the participants, and that happened in 1977. He said that Sai, who was my great uncle, worked as a close messenger to Ta Tusamut, and Sai leaked information to outsiders who dissatisfied with Tusamut. And when Tusamut left his house for work, he disappeared.
Let me follow up on this. In question and answers 62 of document E3/9477, your interview to investigators of the International Co-Investigating Judge, you said that Nguyen Chia said at the meeting that the party arrested Sai, my uncle, who was the ringleader of traitors and the one who provided information to the American CIA that led to the arrest of a communist leader, Tu Samut. End of quote. Now my question is, during that meeting, did Nguyen Chia say that your uncle Sai was the ringleader of traitors in 1962, the year that Tu Samut was murdered, or that Sai was the ringleader of traitors after 1975?
Nguyen Chia did not say that my great uncle was a leader of traitors. However, Nguyen Chia said Sai was an enemy against the revolution who infiltrated the party. And it was Sai who lived in the northwest zone, and it was Sai who persecuted those people. And for that reason, the party decided to take us along to live closer to the party.
Let me ask again. During this big meeting that was attended by a few hundred Northwest Zone cadres, was Nguyen Chia speaking about the betrayal of the revolution in 1962 by Sai, or betrayal of the revolution by Sai in 1977 or 76?
Nguyen Chia just said that Sai was a messenger of Tu Samut and who provided information to outsiders who subsequently arrested Tu Samut. But he did not say that Sai was a ringleader of traitors during the 1960s. Nguyen Chia mentioned Sai's names that he was a traitor leader in 1977 in the Northwest Zone.
Did Nguyen Chia give any additional information as to why Sai had betrayed the revolution? What had Sai done? When had Sai done this? Where, how, etc.? Did he give any details as to what it was that Sai had done?
He did not mention what mistakes Sai had made in 1977. He only says that Sai was a traitor of the revolution. He did not mention what acts that Sai committed. He simply says that I was a traitor.
Let's talk some more about Tsai and particularly his position. You mentioned briefly what you believed Tsai's position to be. Do you know whether Tsai had any other functions within the Northwest Zone?
Regarding the position after he was arrested, he was at the zone office 560.
Was he also secretary or maybe deputy secretary of Sector 1 and at the same time member of the Northwest Zone Committee together with Ru Nim?
Yes, that is correct.
Is his name, let me rephrase, was he also referred to as Tapin, in English P-E-A-N, Tapin? Was that another name of Tsai?
Ta Sai was also known as Ta Pieng.
Do you remember who the other members were of the Sector 1 committee in the Northwest Zone?
After Sai was transferred from Sector 1 to Zone Office 560, his position was filled by Wang, and I only knew Wang in Sector 1.
Before I move to another person you mentioned, San, let me go briefly back to the 60s again. Did your uncle Tsai also work with another important former member of the Communist Party, Siu Heng? Siu Heng. Siu Heng.
No, I am not aware whether he worked with Siu Heng.
And my final question before I go to San, Mr. Civil Party, you said when answering my question whether you lived with Nguyen Chia that you at one point in time worked with Nguyen Chia. Can you tell us, can you tell the Chamber what it was that you did when you were working with Nguyen Chia?
Maybe I made a mistake. I did not say I worked with Nguyen Chia, but it was my father who worked with Nguyen Chia and who told me about his work with Nguyen Chia. But personally, I did not work with Nguyen Chia.
Very well, thank you. Yesterday, Mr. Civil Party, you spoke about Sun, the person who was in charge of Division 2. And before I ask some more questions about Sun, can you tell us what the relationship was between your uncle, Sai, and Division 2 Commander Sun? Were they close friends? Were they working together? What is it that you recall about that?
As for the relationship between Sai and Sun, who was a commander of Division 2, they contacted each other and dealt with each other during their meetings at Zone Office 560, as they worked and stayed together in that office.
And was Sun arrested at the same time as your father and your uncle Sai, or was that another time?
Through my recollection, they were arrested on separate occasions.
Let's talk some more about Sun and the two divisions. Mr. President, I would like to show the Civil Party a document that I've used before with another witness, that is E3/1170. It's an organogram of the Northwest Army. It is English ERN 00602544, French 005448895, and Khmer 00443016. And with your leave, I would like to show that to the Civil Party and ask him whether he recognizes some names on this document.
President, yes, please.
While you are looking, Mr. Civil Party, let me start talking about this document. It lists two divisions, Division 1 and Division 2. Division 1 is being led here by Norn Sarim alias Sun. The Deputy Secretary is new, and Chon is the third member. My question is, do you remember these other two Division 1 leaders, Neu and Chon?
I heard of the name No, but I could recognize Chon. As for Division 1, there were Klein, Khoi and Rain, all of whom I knew.
Let's stay at Division 1. You said that you recognized the name of Chon. Who was he? Did you know him personally? What can you tell us about him?
In fact, I knew Chon in 1974 when he was part of a regiment of the infantry. I sent a telegram to him to get information about the battlefield so that I had all the information to be sent to the radio section rather.
Do you know whether there was ever any contact between your uncle Sai and Chon?
I was not aware of it.
Do you recall how often you saw Chon, or how many times you had contact with him in 76 and 77?
I never met Chon after 1975 and 1976. I saw him, I had seen him before that time, that is in 1974. Again, I saw him only once. My correction, I would like to restate it. I saw Chon several times in 1974 for work relation. Between 1975 and 1976 and until 1979, I never saw him.
Thank you for that clarification. How about Ren, the Division 3 member? How often, if at all, did you have contact with Ren?
Regarding Ren, his wife lived with me. We had a close work relation, in fact, but we never discussed in detail our work. He was a commander of the army, and I was in charge of receiving information and messages to be sent to zone level. That work relation had happened in 1974. After 1975 and 1976, Rain was posted in Trang. I saw him quite often as well, but not in the work relation matter to discuss the reports. We met as friends and as an acquaintance.
Let me follow up on Trang. Why was, or what was the reason that Ren was stationed in Trang? What do you know about Trang?
I passed that train. I went from Battambang to Pailan, so I had to pass that area train.
Do you know whether that was a place where Northwest Zone cadres and Northwest Zone military would regularly meet?
I do not know about that.
Do you know anything about a relationship between Chorn of Division 1 and Ren of Division 2?
I do not know about that either.
And then one other question about a high-ranking military person within the Northwest Zone. Do you recall someone with the name Ham? Da Ham?
I do not know.
Someone who was in the Office of Logistics and who was also a member of the General Staff of the Northwest Zone, Da Ham. Mr. Civil Body, did you hear my question? Someone who had a high military position in the General Staff and who was Chief of Logistics within the Northwest Zone.
I do not know this person.
No problem. Now let me go back to that meeting you attended in Phnom Penh, where you said that Nguyen Chia spoke about Sai being the quote-unquote ringleader of traitors. Did Nguyen Chia speak in more general terms about what the treason consisted of? Did he speak about concrete facts that led him to say that treason had been committed?
No specific facts were discussed at the time in relation to those who were considered traitors.
Did he or anyone else ever speak about a failed coup d'etat attempt, an attempt to overthrow Pol Pot on the 17th of April 1977?
I do not know about that.
Have you ever heard of coup d'etat attempts, an attempt to overthrow the government on the 17th of April 77 on a later day?
I never heard of it.
Did Nguyen Chia mention other high-ranking cadres during this meeting? For instance, did he speak of someone named Koi Tun?
I cannot recall it. I am not quite sure.
Did he speak about the former District 106 Secretary Sot? Did he ever mention that name?
I never heard of him speaking about that.
Did he speak about Division Commander Un commander of Division 310.
I never heard he said that.
Would it be correct if I say that the only name that you now remember that was mentioned during that meeting was your great uncle or your uncle Sai?
Please clarify your question, Counsel.
The only name that you remember now as being a traitor that was mentioned during that meeting was your uncle Sai. Is that correct?
That is correct.
In your civil party applications, E3/6636A, English ERN 00859-258,
President, please repeat your numbers. The interpreters could not follow you.
yes, E3/6636A, English ERN 00859-258, and Khmer 00579466, and there is no French. In that civil party application, Mr. Civil Party, you said the following, and we talked about it yesterday as well. You said that Nguyen Chia said that the party called all of you comrades here to be close to the party in order to escape from being murdered by the leaders of the Northwest Zone. End of quote. Did he give any specific details as to who would murder cadres, by which methods, where this was supposed to take place? Did he give any details as to how this murder by leaders of the Northwest sector was supposed to take place?
He never talked about that in detail.
Are you able to give any other specific details as to what the treason might have consisted of, other than the things that you already said? Sorry for that word. Can you give us any more details that you remember, or is this what you told us all that you remember?
Allow me to inform you, it is a good opportunity today that I am here to talk. I know very clearly, and now I am informing the court and all the judges what I have known, the line and policy of the Communist Party of Cambodia, which I was informed of and instructed, was that the Democratic Cambodia specified very clearly at the time that the three classes would be smashed: feudalism, capitalism, and petty bourgeoisie. The CPK would improve and raise the spirit of peasant classes. This is what happened at the time. As we could see, before 1979, those who were considered enemies of the revolution were killed. And for those who were considered their own people or their own party members, were also killed from 18 June, unspecific year. And later on, those people who were engaged in the movement were also executed. At the end, this communism failed. This is what I can tell you.
I will try it differently. Mr. Sivapati, see if I can maybe somehow get some details. Did you know at the time who the head of the hospital in Battambang was in 75, 76, 77?
I cannot recall it, a lawyer.
Mr. President, I'll be referring to E3/4202. That's Sambat's book, English ERN 00757532, Khmer 00858342, French 00849437. Chan Savut, does that ring a bell, that name?
No, it does not.
I will be reading from a brief summary of a much longer interview he gave to filmmakers Ted Sambat and Robert Lemkin. Unfortunately, only the summary is on the case file. And this is what we can read in Ted Sambat's book about Chan Savut. It says the following, and let me not read it entirely, but let's break it up in excerpts. Chan Savut, head of the hospital in his region in Battambang, said in an interview that in one of the meetings he attended in Sedao to overthrow Pol Pot, Runim said secrecy was mandatory because anyone who was found to be part of the plot would surely be killed. Savut said that after receiving instructions from Runim, he ordered 70 of his men to transfer medicine and medical equipment to store at his division headquarters. Asked by his men the reason for the move, he lied and said they were preparing to make war with Thailand. Rice was also kept in rice mills, and gasoline was hidden throughout Battambang and Banti Menchie province. They planned to destroy bridges across the Sangki River in Battambang to control the west side, where they had stored equipment, food, and other materials. This plan was very big and important, and if we won, things would be good again, Savut said. We were encouraged because some center members from Phnom Penh, like Vorn Vet, supported this plot, and we had Sopim in the eastern zone. End of the first quote. There are many more details in his interview, Mr. Civil Party, but the details that I've read out to you now, is that something that you ever heard of? Are there any? Has there ever been any talk about plans to destroy bridges, for instance, across the Sankhe River in Battambang?
I never heard like what you have just described.
Have you ever heard of unlawful storage of food, ammunition, equipment, military equipment to use for the overthrow of the DK government?
No.
Have you ever heard of meetings in Sedao that this Jan Savut attended, but maybe your grandfather, or your granduncle, sorry, or your father attended as well? Meetings, secret meetings in Sedao?
No. I do not know about that.
Let me read the second excerpt and then I will ask you some more questions. Ru Nim instructed Chil Chun, a division commander, to contact Thai communists who would store rice, dry fish and weapons for them until they staged their attack. They transported the goods to Thailand at night. I was very sorry our plan was not successful, Chil Chun said in an interview. When I was detained in a re-education camp, I wished that we had attacked first. I would have rather died in battle implementing this plan than stay in the camp. Have you ever seen Ru Nim speak to Chun, the division commander that we just spoke about?
President, Mr. Civil Party, please hold on. You may now proceed. Deputy Co-Prosecutor of the international side.
I think counsel is trying to lead the civil party into a conclusion or a theory that the defense has, which is not supported by any evidence. The person who's identified in this book is Chil Chun. This is someone who testified in the court, and the person who's in the who was in the org chart was Chorn, a different name, and someone who was it's a different name. So there's no evidentiary basis to be suggesting these are the same people.
Well, one of the reasons for that is that trial chamber has decided to withhold the original interview, because from that original interview of Chan Savut it would be crystal clear that he speaks about Chun and Ren, the two respective Division 1 and 2 commanders. In terms of no evidence for the 17 April 1977 failed coup d'etat attempt, with all pleasure I would like to refer, for instance, to E3/7333, English ERN 01002239. That's English only. That's a book from Burglar. And this is what he says. According to Check Win, the KR defector, planning for a coup had begun in February 76, when Sot, the commander of Sector 106, Siem Reap, called a clandestine meeting in Siem Reap town to discuss creating rebellion that would allow people to go back and work as they did before the capture of Phnom Penh. This rebellion was planned for the 17th of April 1977. The same thing is said by Keenan, E3/1593. He also speaks about the plans for 17 April 77. That is E3, as I said, 1593, English ERN 0115077, Khmer 00637-879 until 80, French 00639118. There is even a Phoebus report, August 77, E3/1358, English only, ERN 00168-287. It's a report from AFP discussing what a senior Thai military general has said about an attempted coup d'etat, which was supposed to take place on the April 17, 1977. So it was public information at the time. I can go on for a while, but I won't. It's a bit of a long answer to the objection, Mr. President, but I think it's necessary also for the sake of the public. So I think it is crystal clear that Chun is in fact Division Commander Chun that Sabat speaks about, and that the reference is a mistake in his book.
But Counsel, as you yourself said, you're drawing this conclusion from documents that are not on the case file. So legally, that doesn't work. About the identity, obviously.
True, but I mention it for the sake of the public, that you have refused to admit this document into evidence. But let me reformulate my question. Do you know, Mr. Civil Party, whether there were any contacts between Ru Nim and Division Commander Chun that we just briefly discussed?
I am not aware of that.
Are you aware of any involvement of rebels in Thailand or assistance of Thai military within the Northwest Zone? Are you aware of any storage of weapons or ammunition in Thailand?
No, I'm not aware of any of that.
Let me move on then, Mr. Civil Party, by asking you a follow-up question as to what you said yourself about being accused in question and answer 17 of your WRI. You said, I worked in Office 560, quote, until they discharged me in June 77, for they had doubts that I was a traitor. How did you know that they had doubts that you were a traitor as well?
At the time, those who came to take me away from Office 560 told me about it. They said that I was a traitor against the revolution.
But was there anyone specifically who said that there were doubts about you? And if yes, who was this? And when was this said to you?
That person was the one who was at the staff office of a division whose number I cannot recall. He worked at the staff office there, and its current location is near a concrete bridge. That is the lower concrete bridge, not the one opposite the town, provincial town office. And its distance through the west is only about 50 meters away, or maybe 100 meters away from that bridge.
No.
If we go from the east direction, its location is on the right-hand side.
But do you agree with me that even if there were indeed doubts about you, at the end nothing happened to you?
Indeed. In fact, later on, I was transferred to Phnom Penh, and this is what I testified yesterday, that I was taken to Phnom Penh by train. Later on, I was transferred to the Royal University of Phnom Penh, and subsequently I was sent to attend the meeting chaired by Nuon Chea, and this is all what I testified yesterday. Later on, I was assigned to work within and surrounding the Phnom Penh area.
Mr. President, before I move to my last subject, and maybe this would be a good time for the break, let me remind the Chamber of E29/489/1. In this document, it is filmmaker Robert Lemkin who informs the Chamber that Chil Chun was not the right name in that book. So it is on the case file that there is confusion about that name. So I would like to have said that for the record. And my next subject would be S21 and Praise SAR, but this would be a good moment to break.
Maître Copé, nous venons bien d'entendre.
Mr. Copé would like to hear what you have to say regarding Robert Lemkin, but it doesn't say what would be the identity of Chil Chun.
Well, as I've tried to explain during the testimony of an earlier Northwest Zone witness, the English co-author of Tet Sambat, who has no knowledge of herself of any events in the Northwest Zone, mistakenly refers to Chun as Chil Chun. But from the context, and most importantly from the total content of Chan Sivul's interview, it is crystal clear that Chun is the Division 1 commander. And as I said, you're deliberately withholding that evidence, which is a disgrace, if I might add again, Judge Levin. But that's how it is.
It is now convenient time for a short break, and the chamber takes the break now and resume at 10:30. Court officer, please assist the civil party at the waiting room reserved for civil parties during the break time, and invite him back into the courtroom at 10:30. The court stands in recess.